Hey collectors, welcome back. So, I had a proud dad moment this past week that I'd love to share with you. Something we do in our home is every Friday we have homemade pizza and movie night. Now, we take turns every week choosing the movies to keep things in an even playing field, and this past week was my daughter's turn. After much contemplation, she came into my office and browsed through my media collection and came out with Spirited Away. Now, I say this is a proud dad moment because what this represents is so much more than just some movie picked off the shelf or even some selection off of Netflix or streaming. This to me is me winning at being a dad, and I'll give you some reasons why throughout this video. Now, oftentimes when speaking to others or reading about cinema, I find that there are a lot of directors who constantly enter the conversation as the greatest of all time, favorite directors working today, or directors who have had the most impact on the industry. The same names keep popping up, right? We've got Scorsese, Nolan, Kubrick, Hitchcock, Wells, Spielberg, Tarantino. For world cinema, we've got Kurosawa or Fellini or Godard. And whenever this comes up, I am constantly surprised that Hayao Miyazaki just doesn't often make it into that conversation. Because honestly, he deserves to be up there sitting with all of the greats. And to be frank, I think he might be even above some of those that I just named. So let's talk about it. Let's celebrate an incredible director. And let me tell you why, if you have not been, you should be watching Hayao Miyazaki films. Let's do it. Now, there are movies you just put on for noise. There are movies you put on just to be entertained. And then there are movies that ask something of you. And Hayao Miyazaki movies don't rush you. They don't shout. They don't explain things twice just to make sure you're still paying attention. They invite you to slow down, and then they reward you for it. Now, there are so many influences in this world that are outside of the home: school, work, social media. And as a father, it's really important to me to be intentional about what I introduce my daughter to. And to me, these movies have helped to anchor our home in some of those values that we hold dear. If you're looking for stories that teach values without preaching, or for worlds that feel lived in rather than engineered, if you're looking for characters who model kindness, courage, patience, and respect, then forget about Disney or Pixar. Forget about Hollywood. This is it right here. One of the very first things that Miyazaki films quietly teach is how to be good to others. You see it in the way characters treat elders, in the way young men respect women without having to be taught a lesson about it, but by empathy, restraint, and responsibility. His films are filled with strong female characters who aren't strong because they're perfect. They're strong because they're curious. They're strong because they're scared and move forward anyway. And because they learn, adapt to situations, and choose kindness first, even if it costs them something. And that's important, especially now. Miyazaki doesn't frame the world as good guys versus bad guys. He shows something much more honest, which is that people are complicated, nature is powerful, and progress has consequences. Which brings us to one of the core themes running through almost every single one of his works, which is the balance between the old and the new. All of these stories are deeply rooted in tradition, folklore, spiritualism, respect for the natural world, but they're never nostalgic in any shallow kind of way. They don't say the past was better. Rather, they're asking, what is it that we forgot along the way? Miyazaki is always actually looking towards the future while holding the past in his hands carefully, even thoughtfully and with humility. And that balance shows up everywhere. Technology versus nature, industry versus harmony, and ambition versus stewardship. And he never gives out an easy answer to any of these questions. As a matter of fact, something brilliant is that he often doesn't answer questions at all. Because first and foremost, all of these films are about characters. They're about characters who are living in a world that's worth saving, whether that be on a grand scale or within the small world of family. Whether it's about adventure, coming of age, growing up, finding your place, these characters are the story, which in a way is why a lot of these films are designed to make you slow down. These films are filled with long, quiet moments, wind simply flowing through grass, or a character staring out of a window, an extended train ride that simply exists to give you space to breathe. These movies trust you to think. And with that in mind, I must recommend that they be watched in the original Japanese with subtitles. Not only is it the intended version, but it forces commitment from you. With subtitles on, you can't half watch these films. There's no opportunity to go scroll. You can't really use it as background noise in that sense, or look away and expect the story to wait for you. Putting on subtitles is asking you for patience. And this goes for any foreign film. You could watch the dubbed version and experience a lesser version of the film, but dubbing gives you an out. It lets the film become background noise, become something that you're just consuming rather than experiencing, which completely goes against what these movies are. Miyazaki films are not intended to just be consumed. They're meant to be sat with, and that patience carries over into the art form itself. I think people honestly disregard these films as cinema because they're hand-drawn, which is a shame to think that any less effort, love, or care would go into something just because it isn't live action. The hand-drawn animation isn't flashy just for the sake of being flashy. It's absolutely deliberate. Every frame feels considered, as if someone cared deeply about where the eye would rest. The worlds feel textured. Weather matters. Food matters. Silence matters. Nothing exists just to sell you something later. And maybe that's the final reason these films matter so much right now. They remind us that stories don't have to be loud to be powerful. That wonder doesn't require constant stimulation. That meaning reveals itself to you when you slow down enough to notice it. Miyazaki films don't demand attention. They earn it. And once you give it to them, they tend to stay with you forever. Now, the month of January for me is a pretty special month in the sense that I love to use it every year to revisit Japan through its arts, its movies, books, manga. It's Japanuary, I suppose you could say. On the channel, I'll be discussing some media that I love and would love to share with you. So this video is a bit of a setup video, I suppose. I do want to discuss some authors, some manga, some other directors, and film with you this month. But starting now, among other things, I'll be doing a deep dive into several Miyazaki films. I don't know if I will do all of them. There are 12 of them after all, but I am going to do more than a few. I'll be rewatching, pondering, sharing some of my feelings about not only the stories, but about the physical releases of each one of those. And by the end, I'll be selecting a few of them for some special projects, some work that I want to do to elevate these, give them the love, the craft, and the special edition treatment that I believe that they deserve. This channel is a workshop after all, and so we will workshop some of these to make them stand out in the collection. I hope you'll choose to join me on this journey, and if this is something that interests you, please consider subscribing to see where this takes us. I hope you take some opportunity to revisit some of the wonders of Hayao Miyazaki. Bring more of that beauty into your life if you can. As always, thank you for joining. I'll see you next time.